Alrighty, hello every folks, and welcome to a speedrun thingy here. So, basically was asked to show this a few times in terms of speedrunning the Heim Great Hall. So the thing is, you come into this thing completely underleveled. You come into this thing running units that seem fairly weak on paper, but we're looking to try and claim this whole castle here in as fast of a manner as possible. So first thing to bear in mind, we're running a kind of a series of different backup plans here. This particular strategy that I've been trying to put together here is essentially just kind of coming up with contingency plans on contingency plans for just kind of whatever you can potentially run into. So in this case, we have Plan A is essentially going to be a rush with shots. If we can create a breach in the front line of Terror Knights and just kind of stick one guy in there and essentially push the other two off to the sides through crits, through pushbacks, through whatever, and then just quickly run our way past them, then that is going to be the ideal situation. Plan B is essentially combining in those shots as well as longbows in order to clear out the back line and get rid of their support almost entirely. Man, this weather is really doing wonders for my throat. Anyway, so yeah, only in Michigan can you potentially go from snowing last week to being 80 degrees outside all of a sudden. Like, it's just, man, make up your mind. Okay, so things to bear in mind for this. Shots are going to scale up off of physical up cards and basically nothing else. They scale off your physical weapon, that is to say your physical skill, off of your weapon, as well as your cards and that. So you don't need to worry about stats. You literally just turn some unit into that kind of thing. Now, in this case, we want to try to spread poison as much as possible while trying to push somebody through the gaps. We want to do something like this, where we get somebody right in the center, and it really doesn't matter if they end up getting themselves got, because we are just looking to push through. We're not really interested in doing anything else here, so and go for something like that. We're looking to break one or two units and push our way through. If we can reach more, that'd be ideal, because Plan C is essentially just finally having the front line reach them. Now, keep a unit that's a little bit weaker on the front line specifically for that purpose right there. You want to try to make sure that you have a lightning rod, because whenever Morn moves, he will get somebody. Like, there's no question there. Somebody gonna die. So, it's just what he does. Now, we keep longbows in the meantime to keep their healing busy. We don't want them stacking, multiple Mother's Blessing heal 3s over and over and over. What we want to do is buy a little bit of time for our Grenadiers to go get access to their cards. We want to try to protect any physical up cards, and we want to protect any ground that we've gained using something like this, where we're just going and kind of taking advantage of positions like this to try and hold them back as much as possible, protect the physical up cards for our Grenadiers, and try to push our basically everybody as close to as Morn as possible. The thing to bear in mind is that time is not on your side on this one anyway. Basically, rushing this one is more or less the meta anyhow. As soon as those frontliners start dropping Lament of the Deads on everybody, that's when those archers and Fusiliers will get to do their full damage on you, and you'll start seeing some serious problems. Thankfully, he hasn't really figured out that you can upgrade Claymores, because that would be absolutely terrifying. Anyway, so at this point, yeah, we essentially will be abusing revives to try and kind of alpha strike our way through this mess. So you go over here, and then you will further move this way. You'll go ahead and poke this guy in order to proc the pincer. So there we go, we get something. And can we by any chance get a recruit here? No, these guys are fairly loyal. So bear in mind that spreading debuffs is a great way to waste the cleric's MP, because it's 40 MP cost, and they will gladly prioritize getting rid of something like poison. And then you want to, again, just try to rush this as much as you possibly can. Now, in this case, I want to actually go over here and drop this on her to try to give her a bit more sustainability for the time being. We're using salve plus 1s in this case, primarily for the kind of obvious. Because they're just a quick way to heal the majority of your health, and cheap enough to be able to do without relying on the money glitch. The entirety of this run was done without the money glitch, just so you know. Well, I guess it's really more of an oversight than a glitch, but, I mean, everyone refers to it as the money glitch, so screw it. Okay, so we want to be picking up fizz up cards wherever we possibly can. So we've got a total of 11 grenades that are available on this team. Essentially, we're just doing something like that, and we are going to be using them to alpha strike as much as possible. Depending on the units that you're running, this may look a little bit different. But if you have, for example, somebody running a short bow, just occasionally take some random shots out to give them additional training to boost up their grenades. Ideally, we want to try and make sure not to get hit by elements as much as possible, but if we do, the primary bulk of our damage can potentially come from poison and come from elemental swapping our finishers. By this point, any two-hander users would have access to Cyclone Saber, and most of these guys are running Earth. As well as any dagger units would be running Heart Crusher, but again, it depends entirely on what you found comfortable up to that point. And unfortunately, our White Knights didn't roll any of their speed ups, so we didn't get that second physical up card, but that's fine. If you don't roll the cards that you want to roll, just have somebody collect cards that they don't necessarily need in order to get more to spawn. Again, you're not relying on them, but it is one way for you to kind of pivot into those cards as needed. Now, if you do wind up in a situation where at least 2 of your Grenadiers are already boosted up... Good lord, this weather is awful. Anyway, so let's say you're in a position where a few of them are already boosted up, right? Wow, this is... That never happens. Okay, cool. Just turn off this one, I guess. If you could, anyway. Okay, so let's say you're in a position, you're at this point... and you've now gotten in a position where you can get 3 of your Grenadiers over there. They've already been boosted. In that case, yes, it would absolutely be worth targeting down Mr. Morn. His defense is very high, so if you can't get his entire bar in one go, don't even bother trying. If you can breach anything, like for example using a Ruination, if you're using an item, like generally speaking by this point you really don't want to be relying on just that, then it's definitely worth doing, but either way. So right now I don't want the skill card to be here, so I'm just going to get rid of that. He's going to throw out whatever he can in this particular case. He needs a little bit of extra training. He's relatively low level compared with everybody else here, so it's pretty likely that he'll be able to do something. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get our archer back up here to finish off that siren up there. So there we go. You move you. You apparently had your turn at the exact same time, so you will now push ahead as well. Use one of your revives on the Grenadier on back here, which will also help. And in her case, she actually might have a pretty good excuse to go use one of her items right here to go and clear this area out a little bit. So in her case, yeah, we're actually going to go use one of her torrent shots on this right here. The breach won't really do anything extra for her, so there's really no point in focusing too hard on that. Okay, so let's see. Only one of those cards will be able to be picked up, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick this up on her. I believe she rolled her in Gulf. She did, so she will be able to make the shot right here. There's a reason that longbows are employed in this strategy, because they are just incredibly useful for taking out the stuff that you can't otherwise reach. Alright. So, at this point, we now have him at least somewhat damaged. If you can't quite get his full health bar, bear in mind that if you are about 70-80%-ish or so, they usually will not prioritize healing him if there's other stuff available, which, as you can see, there's plenty of. So in our case right here, he's actually just going to go ahead and heal himself. He actually does have enough for a resurrection, which you should always prioritize if you do have available for you. Right here, let's go ahead and... do I seriously not have his Terrifying Impact on him? Apparently, I forgot to put his Terrifying Impact on him. Good job. Way to go. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and go for the quick slice here and just have him do whatever. TI can be pretty handy. Again, all of this stuff is going to be fairly circumstantial, so just kind of use your judgment on that one, as it were. So in this case, let's see, we got a couple issues down there, but realistically, we got these guys up here. Okay, we're just going to have you take a normal shot to, again, try to work on that skill while you try to get closer. You want to try to use lower levels to try to tank the hits for you while you get your true heavies up as much as you can. Now, this is currently not going amazingly well, but this is, honestly, that's probably the best kind of example. Because, again, things will definitely not go well all the time, especially in a game with this many different fights in it. Just stuff will go awry every now and then. And if you start seeing a bunch of units drop down, don't forget that you can revive them just as fast. In many cases, this actually can be seen as a little bit of a benefit, because essentially they're getting downed, but they are also losing access to that fear. That sounds like a weird way to put that, but you get the general idea here, I assume. Okay, so this guy's going to be our throwing guy. He's going to be able to reach that Fizz card, so we'll go ahead and move that there, and we'll get this guy one step closer to potentially enact that Plan C. Alright, he's gonna get that Eagle Eye. Oh, that is our archer guy. Well, oops. Never mind. That would be the guy that we need then. Okay, in that case, you just focus on the healer, who will hopefully prioritize healing himself, and then we can go ahead and move you up here. If you can get within the dead zone for those archers and such, that'll be very beneficial. Let's see. Just might as well go here. This guy's breached. Might as well just go break him if I can stop doing the wrong inputs. That would be fan-frickin-tastic. Anyway, there we go. Take advantage of that breach to break that dude. And he's actually gotten close. Thank you, low level, taking that hit. Nice. Okay. That's actually... That's really good. That's really good. He did take a heal. It's a little bit more for us to play around, but you know what? We can start working on this guy. That's the important part. Now, again, the ideal is to have those Grenadiers there. Usually what I've been doing up to this point is kind of switching out whatever was highest and switching them over to those Grenadiers. Bear in mind, this can, again, vary depending on what units you had with you. This can go a lot of different ways. So if you, for example, had a lot of Grenadier units, like let's say you were running a lot of archers or warrior units that were particularly benefiting from all of these things, then it might be a good time to take advantage of switching them over to something that already had the right weapon skill to get that bonus. In this particular case, I had one guy that was already partially trained, and it was just kind of considered a good enough type situation. We'll just go ahead and go for one of these. He's got his double. He can just go ahead and go for something like this. Whatever it does, but it's going to be significant all the same. Obviously, you only have a limited number of shots at this, so, you know, kind of use your discretion, as it were. Like in his case, he's definitely taking a more ineffective grenade here, but there's a lot more stuff to heal, and they've mostly got offensive units coming up, so we're not as concerned. They do have 2 heals coming up after our next action, unfortunately. And it's a bit of a bummer that he ended up picking up that Fizz Up card, but I didn't want to sacrifice the unit in order to have him go for the self-destruct earlier, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Now, in terms of those backup plans I mentioned, if your ninjas roll their Venom, that does a really good job of clearing out a lot of this kind of mess in the front here, but either way. Also, bear in mind that Branton can actually get poisoned, so if you can get the ninja close to him, that is certainly an option as well. I do find it funny that he's one of the very few bosses that can actually be poisoned. And I think it's just because, you know, he's a king, so... Well, I guess regent, but whatever, same difference. But just the fact that he can do that is just kind of funny to me. Anyway, so as always, he'll go for the big meaty hits. So we've got another unit coming up for a big hit pretty soon here. He's going to go for the major heal on all of those guys because he's not too worried about his very, 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 very bulky leader. Understandable, and also a bit of a mistake, but whatever. You know, we do as we do. I'm just going to go for that. There we go. And you can go ahead and go for the... Just whatever, go for this. Because he should have the pincer behind him. And there we go. And that's the map done in about 12 minutes. Now, that can be done a lot faster if you're, you know, if you're going faster. But, you know, you do as you do. A speedrun's a speedrun. This is a long frickin' speedrun, so it is what it is. Alright, I'll see y'all in the next one.